Well, hey there, and welcome to Board to Learn, the channel dedicated to helping you learn how to play your new games faster. My name is Kent, and today we're looking at Seven Wonders Dice, a roll and write take on the classic card game for 2 to 7 players. So meet me at the table, and we'll get started. In Seven Wonders Dice, you'll take control of one of the great cities of the ancient world. Over the course of the game, you'll gather resources, make scientific advancements, build up your economy, and work toward constructing a massive wonder. But while focusing on your own city, you'll need to keep an eye on your neighbors, because military strength and building progress can make a big difference by the end of the game. To set up, start by giving each player a random board, as well as a pencil and a cloth eraser. Place this box, called the form, in the middle of the table, with its lid close by. Then place the 7 starting dice into the form. The starting dice include the 3 gray resource dice, along with the blue, yellow, red, and green building dice. The black, purple, and white dice are special dice that can be gained later in the game. Place them in the middle of the table, but off to the side for now. There are 3 player aids included in the game. Place them out so all players have access to one. The game's dice and board effects can only be found on the player aids. And with that, the setup is complete. The game plays out over a series of turns in which players use dice to collect resources and construct buildings within their cities. Each turn is made up of 2 phases. First, players will mix up the dice inside the form. Then, all players will simultaneously choose one of the 3 actions: construct a building, construct your wonder, or pass your turn. To start each turn, a random player will place the lid on the form and rotate it in a circular motion on the table to mix up the dice. Once you feel like they are good and mixed, remove the lid and reveal the dice. Looking at the form, you will see that it is divided into 4 sections. Each section has a cost associated with it, found in the outside corner. Once the dice have been revealed, all players will simultaneously take their one action. Again, the 3 actions to choose from are construct a building, construct your wonder, or pass your turn. Let's go over each action in a little more detail, starting with construct a building. This is the only action where you will use the dice, and there's a little more to it than just constructing a building. Looking at the 7 starting dice, only the blue, yellow, red, and green dice are used for constructing buildings. The 3 gray dice are specifically for gaining resources. You will also notice a symbol for 7 coins on the yellow die, which immediately gives you coins. When taking this action, choose a die from the form. Do not take the die, it remains available for all players, and multiple players may use the same die on the turn. First, look at the section of the form the die sits in and pay the cost in coins. Then look at the symbol on the top of the die. This symbol will correspond to a symbol on your board, which will also have a cost in resources. If you don't have enough resources, you can pay with coins instead at a rate of 1 coin for each missing resource. Before we go any further, let's take a minute to familiarize ourselves with the board, so the first action will make a little more sense. Let's look at the board in 2 parts. The bottom section of the board is used for the economy of your city. On the left, you will see your resources. You do not start the game with any resources. Just above each resource is a square with a number in it. The number represents how many resources you need in order to gain that resource. Most of them are 0, but you might see a cost on a couple of them. When you choose a resource die during the construct a building action, pay any costs, then fill in the square above the resource you are collecting. Once you have filled in a resource, it is considered permanent for the rest of the game. It is not taken away or spent when using it to construct a building. To the left of the resources is your gold reserve. You start the game with 7 gold coins, indicated by the 7 circled coins. To use a coin, fill in a circled coin. When you gain coins, circle any uncircled coin in your reserve. While there are a limited number of coins in your reserve area, you are not limited to that number. If you have circled all the coins in your reserve and would gain more, erase a number of spent coins equal to the number of coins you would gain. The game is balanced well enough that you should never outgain what you spend. To the right of your gold reserve are 3 bonus spaces. When you've crossed off all the spaces in a single building, you immediately receive a bonus. Announce to all players which building you have finished and choose one of the 3 bonuses to take. Refer to the player aid for an explanation of each symbol. Now to the top section of the board, which is your city. There are 7 different buildings in your city, 5 main buildings and 2 special buildings. The blue agora, yellow market, 2 red barracks and the green university are the main buildings connected to the starting dice. The purple guild court and the white gallery of leaders are connected to special dice added later in the game. The wonder is found in the top left corner, but it is not considered a building and does not require dice to construct. With all buildings and wonder sections, the number in the square under the bonus symbol is the number of resources needed to construct that section. The type of resource does not matter, and if you do not have enough resources, you can spend 1 gold for each missing resource. The blue agra gives you victory points for every section of the building constructed. Each section is connected to 2 symbols on the board that are also found in the blue die. Either symbol can be used to construct that section, but you must follow the correct order of construction, either from the left to right or from the bottom working upward. For example, if you want to complete this space here, you need to finish the space below it or the 2 spaces to its left first. The first player to complete the agra will fill in this space here, worth a bonus 3 points at the end of the game. The yellow market has 2 symbols found on the yellow die, the camel and the chest. Each symbol has 3 spaces that can be filled in any order. The bonus 7 coin space is different than the 7 coin symbol found on the yellow die. When you use a camel symbol, you can choose the space that immediately gives you 7 coins as a one-time bonus. When the 7 coin symbol appears on the die, you gain coins instead of filling in a space in the yellow market. The red barracks are considered 2 separate buildings, the west barracks and the east barracks. When the shield appears on the red die, you can choose either the west or east barracks to fill in, starting from the bottom and working up. The sword is specific to the west barracks and scores based on the number of shields the player to your left has in their east barracks. If they have no shields, you gain the full points for the section you are filling in. The point value is shown in gray. If the other player has 1 shield, subtract 1 point from the value shown. If they have 2 shields, subtract 2 points from the same value. Write the points in immediately after constructing that section. The axe is specific to the east barracks and scores the same way as the west, but instead you are looking at the player to your right and their west barracks. Again, you are looking at the number of shields they have filled in. In a 2-player game, treat it the same regardless of how you are sitting at the table. It is always east versus west, and west versus east. The last main building is the green university. Fill in spaces from left to right. The 3rd space of each row unlocks access to a special die. If you are the first player to construct the 3rd space of a row, look at the colored die in that row. Remove a gray resource die from the form and add the new die in its place. It will be available to choose on the next turn. If you have not yet constructed the section that unlocks a specific special die found in the form, it is not available for you to use. Once you have constructed a section that unlocks a special die, you may choose to use it during the construct a building action. The black spy die does not have a building associated with it, but instead gives you the option to construct a section of a building of a specific color. When this happens, you do not need to worry about matching symbols. Look at the color represented on the black die and choose a section in that building you want to construct. Pay the cost and resources, and follow the normal building guidelines from left to right or bottom to top. This is especially useful later in the game when you're waiting on one specific symbol that refuses to appear. The white die opens up construction of the Gallery of Leaders. This building can help speed up construction of other buildings, as well as offer some endgame points. The purple die opens up construction of the Purple Guild Court. The symbols found on this die require you to have at least as many sections of a certain building color built as both of your neighboring cities. If this is the case, you may construct sections in your guild court from left to right while paying their construction cost. In a 2-player game, you must have more sections of a certain color constructed for it to count. And that is your board. Now that we understand the layout of the board a little better, let's go over the constructed building action one more time. To take this action, look at the symbols and colors on the dice in the form, and choose a die you want to use, remembering to leave it in the form for other players. Pay the coin cost associated with the section of the form the die sits in. Then choose the matching section on your board and pay its construction cost in resources. Any resource type may be used, and if you are short on resources, you may spend 1 coin for each missing resource. Once the cost has been paid, fill in the square of the section you are constructing. If there is an immediate bonus associated with that section, gain it now. Refer to the player aid for clarification of each bonus. The second action to choose from is Construct Your Wonder. You do not use a die for this action. Simply pay the cost and resources. Just like constructing a building, if you do not have enough resources, you may spend coins instead at a rate of 1 coin per missing resource. Start with the first section on the left and work right. If there is a bonus, gain it immediately. The last action to choose from is Pass Your Turn. If you cannot or do not want to fill in a section this turn, you may instead collect 3 gold coins by circling 3 uncircled coins. Once all players have taken their one action, place the lid back on the form and start the process again. When a player completes the third bonus on the bottom right of their board, the end game is triggered. Finish out the current turn, then take one final turn. Once all players have finished the final turn, it's time for final scoring. Take out the score pad and record points for your wonder and all buildings in your city. The player with the most points wins the game. If there's a tie, the player with the most unspent circled coins takes the victory. And that's how to play 7 Wonders Dice. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and consider subscribing to learn more great games. Turn the bell on to be notified of my latest videos. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments and I'll do my best to respond. And remember, it's not just how you play, it's how much fun you have. See you next time on Board to Learn. Each section has a cost associated with it. In the found, the red barracks are separated into two. The game is balanced well enough that you should never outgain. If the other player has one shield, subtract. If the other player has one shield, subtract. Oh my gosh.
I said it again.
Subtract.